Hello everyone and welcome back to Evie Creates. This is Whimsical Tree Part 2. So thank you for joining me again. I hope you watched Part 1, but this is going to be the one where I work on the rest of the page. So I already painted the tree with the watercolors. I went over what I had already done just to retouch it and make it more vibrant and to blend the edges with the background. I'm going to go into my Prisma Prima watercolors and use them again. I'm using them for the greens and the brown. So I use the tropicals and the classics. And I'm just retouching the grass part. So I'm going over what I have already done and just revamping that color and adding more layers to it and blending it more with that background. And then I went over all of the areas on that little bush that I had on the left, just building more layers and depth and blending that edge to that background that I had fixed with the new blue, because I had sort of like a washy edge touching it, so I wanted to blend that a little bit better, just to eliminate like that strange edge that showed up when I was doing my new background, because I didn't want to touch that green with my blue. So that's what it looks like now that I've done my watercolor again. That's the tree with the retouched watercolor, and those are the bush and grass areas already with some new layers on and that blending on the edge. And what I'm going to do now, after showing you what it looks like, is that I'm gonna use my stickers. So remember that the whole inspiration for this page was this sticker pack with the owls. So I need to do something to blend them together and for it to look more whimsical. So I end up using this Posca white pen. It's a paint pen. I don't know if you all know about them, but I love that pen. I finally was able to try it. I was gonna I had it on my wish list for the longest time, and I think like a month ago we were making an order for the workshops, because the ladies wanted to get some things on Amazon, and we ended up getting a pack that had a few of those, and we shared that pack between all of us, and I was lucky enough to get one of them too. So I'm really happy with how that pen is working. So all I decided to do was to outline that tree with that white pen. And I have eliminated part of it because you already know what I'm doing. I basically went over all of that outline. And once I had done the whole thing, I went over some of the areas again, just to make the lines thicker and to get more interest on my lines and to cover some little oops that happen when the paper skips or those type of things that happen. But it ended up making it more interesting. So I just went over my lines in some areas to make them thicker, and then I kept some of them thinner and just played with that, because the watercolor on my tree was still a little bit wet, so some of it was getting on my paint pen as I was adding it. So that's what it looks like now. And after I looked at it for a little bit, I decided that I also wanted to add that white outline to the other areas that had the watercolor on them. So I started by playing with that edge on that bush, and then I went over and started doodling some lines for the grass. Not really following what I had painted. I just doodle on top because I wanted it to look loose and just fun, just some doodling. So you don't see part of it because the camera ended up cutting part of it as when I transferred the video to iMovie. But you get the idea. I'm just going over that edge with the certain lines, and after I finished that, I decided to add some other little layers in between. So I added some at the bottom a little bit. And then I wasn't sure if I wanted to go into that bush and add some white. I added a few little parts, and then, yeah, I just went for it. And I started adding that white on that bush all over so that I could build like more layers on it. So this is what it looks like now after all of that white. and I start adding my stickers now. So I start with that red owl, which is the one that I really inspired the whole page, and then I go and get some of his friends to join him on the tree. I'm adding some gel medium, not some gel medium, I just added some extra glue on the back of those two. And then I grabbed the ones that I was going to place at the bottom of the page, and I forgot to add glue to the ones that I had already done, but it seems like they glue down pretty well, right? I couldn't get it up. So I ended up placing the other two without adding any glue to them. So if they ever come out, then I'll just add glue to them. But yeah, that's what they look like now on the page. And now it's for the journaling part. So I ended up looking for my Chit Chat, one of the Tim Holtz little booklets. And I selected something that I thought would go well with the word owl. So I added that. And then I just went for it. And I added my own handwriting for the word owl. And it would say, owl, stay curious, as it is right now. But I kept looking at it and I'm like, oh, should I add something else? And then I just went in and added always. So it now reads, I'll always stay curious. Now I went to get some gouache because the watercolors were too translucent. So I went to get some gouache to make my little leaves on the tree. So I'll be using that green that I showed to add some leaves around the branches and make it a happy place for my little owls. And I also ended up adding another Chit Chat strip on the right side before I started filming this part, because it was too empty on that right side. So I ended up adding another Chit Chat section, and you'll be able to see it at the end. But now I'm just working with my little leaves and adding them. So I start with those two and test it out to see if I liked it. And I added two more somewhere else. And yeah, once you get going, it's like, okay, now I'm not afraid anymore. I'll just go for it. So I kept on adding leaves all over my tree. And you're going to see me going through the whole process, because I don't think I didn't eliminate this part. So the whole session where I was painting my leaves on the tree is here. So you'll get to see me building that. Some areas are off camera, but I hopefully eventually want to get, that was like a mess of a sentence, but I'm searching for a way to be able to have my camera a little bit higher than the way I have it right now, because right now, since I'm using the bigger art journal, it won't take the whole space as I'm working on it, and it's this table is pretty narrow, so I'm kind of in a tight space where I'm working, but it's the most comfortable place to work in my studio. It's just not the most comfortable to place the tripod on. Yeah, so I just keep on adding little happy leaves all over my tree. Can you hear the cookies in the background? I'm filming at night and it's pretty quiet, so all I can hear right now is the cookies and the wind, which is blowing pretty hard. I don't know why, but I have to turn off my fans in order to be able to record the voiceover and not have that noise. So I get to hear all the cookies outside, and the windows are not open, so they're pretty loud. For those of you who are from Puerto Rico or have been here and you know the Puerto Rican frog, that's the noise that you're hearing, or the sound that you're hearing. It's not really a noise. I tend to forget that it's there. We're so used to hearing it that we forget. But I'll stay quiet for a little bit so you can hear them, and you can hear the wind too. Were you able to hear something else? Because there was a plane passing by too. So I was playing here for a little bit, and my owl stuck to my hand, so I had to put him back on. I am having so much fun playing in my studio this summer. I don't know if I said it enough times, but this is like, I think it's one of my favorite parts of the year, just because I get to enjoy this without any pressure, any major commitments. I get to recharge, revamp, and be like relaxed and play with all the goodies. And now that the kids are getting older, they don't need as much of me, so I can work in here longer periods of time without having to get up every 5 seconds. Especially when Sebastian is not here. When Sebastian is here, he's always asking for things because he wants to be pampered all the time. But these past few days, he's been going over to a friend's house. They always have plans, so he hasn't been home for longer periods of time, so I've been able to play in here for longer. It's actually about time for me to go pick him up again. I was editing my video last night, and I was rushing through it because I had to go pick him up. And today they wanted to stay till later, but I'm like, no, that's too abusive. You've been at their house for too many days, for too long. I mean, he comes back to sleep. They wanted to come over and sleep here last night, but we ended up, it was like super late when they made the plans, and I was like, no, we can't do that today. So he ended up going back today, and he's still there, so I have to go pick him up because they wanted to stay till later. But yeah, no, he has to come back home. This page turned out to be a lot of fun. Oh, someone's texting me. I'll leave you to watch me paint that a little bit while I check, because I don't know if he might be ready for me to pick him up. Maybe they're texting earlier. Oh my goodness, see? Now they're eating dinner, so I told you it might be a text from them. They spoil him too much. So I thought he was gonna come back before dinner, but they still have not had dinner, and they're staying there for dinner. So I'm glad he's having fun. Summers are for that, you know. Enjoy your friends, and they went to the beach, they went to the pool. They've played all day long. They were playing Minecraft, you know, kids. And meanwhile, I get to play in here because the other two have been doing their own thing today, and they haven't been needing mommy. So today's been like a happy Sunday. Well, that's it. That's about all of the leaves that I wanted to add. I don't know if I'll end up going back into that later on. I kept looking at it and wondering if I should add something else or not, like more leaves to it or not. And I ended up adding some to the chit chat words because they looked like they were floating in like nowhere land. So I ended up adding first those 3, and then wondered if I was going to add something else, and then just went for it. And I really like how it looks. I'm glad that I ended up adding those leaves there. It anchored the whole thing without having to use the outline, because I didn't want to use a black outline underneath or to frame them. I just wanted something to like make them blend into the page a little bit better. Yeah, so it reads, I'll always stay curious. And if you read I'll always again, then you can connect it to have an open heart. That's what I added to the right of the page. But I'll show you. I'll try to show you that after I finish with my little leaves here. I just can't stop making them. And I don't know if I mentioned, because I had recorded a little bit earlier and I know I did that then, but I was wondering if I should add more of the white lines on the tree, like on the inside of the tree. But I liked the pattern that came out so much that I ended up not doing that. So that's what it looks like now. And I'm trying to show you the journaling part, like the words, but they wouldn't show with the reflection of the light. So I end up turning the two side lights off. And even though you don't get the colors as vivid as before, you can get to read that. So yeah, that was pretty fast. I'm sorry. But it reads, I'll always stay curious. I'll always have an open heart. Or I'll always stay curious, have an open heart. Yeah, so that's my page. That's what the owls ended up living in. That whimsical tree. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for staying tuned and watching. If you watched till the end, thank you so much for stopping by. Thanks so much. Hugs and kisses to all. Besitos. Take care and come back for another Every Creates. Bye.